joined the Wise service because I've had a few long-term health conditions, and unfortunately my mental health declined, and because of that my health issues started taking a toll on my day-to-day life. So I reached out for help by my GP, and they referred me to Wise to try and readjust my life and get on a better track, because it's quite easy to forget how to look after yourself when you don't feel very confident to do so. If you can't look after yourself, you can't look after other people, so you forget about yourself, and you just push yourself away into a corner and forget. And it's important, because if you don't look after yourself, you're not going to be able to look after other people either. So you've got to put yourself first, regardless how you feel. And taking the first step is really important, because you'll have a better life knowing that you've tried, rather than sitting there and stewing. So that's why I've come to Wise and enjoyed the experience. On a personal level, it forced me to put myself first, because I'd forgotten about myself, stopped looking after myself. Maybe as well as if someone else was caring for me, they would have cared for me better than what I was doing for myself. So coming to this program has helped me understand things better, what I should and shouldn't do. It's given me tools to be able to navigate around my conditions when, regardless what they throw at me, my conditions can always be managed, and the tools they've taught us minimizes the impact on my life. So it means I can lead a more functional, normal life without having to depend on other people. So the healthy eating, the sleep hygiene, the exercise. And I know the exercise bit is quite scary, because if you've got any type of chronic pain or fatigue, the last thing you want to do is move, because you just want to curl up and ball. And what coming year has shown me is, regardless how small the movement is, if you do the tiniest of movements every day, eventually it'll get easier and easier, and you can get bigger movements, and it's not so strenuous anymore. And life is easier, you can breathe easier, you can walk better, you can manage your day-to-day life better, because you're building a foundation that you can stand on. It's not broken, it's not rocky, it's stable. And the tools they give you helps you keep it stable for as long as possible. And they help with your mental health as well, because that's quite important, because you can get worn down quite easily if you're not kind to yourself. So the breathing techniques are fantastic. I find if my chronic pain is very high, if I just stop breathing, I hold, and it's not the greatest thing to do, because it just keeps going up and up, and you just need to let it breathe. And eventually you'll come back down again and you can carry on. But I was finding that I was holding my breath a lot and I couldn't do much, and it's just opened up my life to a better way of living, because they've shown me healthy ways to deal with things mentally, physically, and socializing. It's quite important as well, because I'd shut myself away from people, my family, because you're worried that your family, the people around you, are sick of hearing it. So when you get down or sick, you close yourself off, and it's not healthy. So you need to be able to talk to people and communicate to people, reach out to your GP, your mental health professionals, and they're all happy to help. That's all they want to do is help. And you've got to allow yourself to get the help and take the first step, because otherwise you're just going to stay stuck in the same position. That regardless of any problems you have, you can minimize it by turning it into smaller, easier to manage chunks. It's not a big mountain. It's not hard to climb. If you can break it down into smaller steps, before you know it, you're halfway up. And it doesn't feel hard either. It's not, sometimes it feels pressured, but it's only pressure because you want to do good for yourself. And as long as you're kind to yourself and you treat yourself right, and look after your eating, your sleeping, how much water you're drinking, you can't go wrong, really. As long as you're doing all those things, there's always that opportunity to be better and have a better lifestyle and a better outcome overall. So going forward, and definitely keeping the healthy eating, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what it was. And that's a start. And drinking more water and having more energy, and I still feel the same amount of pain, but it doesn't upset me as much anymore because I can cope with it better. And as long as I can cope, then it's okay. And having these tools help me makes it just a little bit lighter every time I put myself first. Every time I move a little bit more forward, life just gets lighter. And hopefully, if I ever do fall back and I struggle and need help again, I know I've got all these toolbox and the program to read back on, go over again, and just readjust my life, because it's not going to be perfect. It's always going to have those little blips, and knowing there's programs like this around to help will just help you recenter and go forward. And that's the important thing for me. Yes, everybody is a little bit naughty sometimes, and you eat too many biscuits, and you have too much alcohol, and you don't sleep right, and you're staying on your phone a little bit too long, and it all adds up. And if you feel not quite right, coming to Wise helps you realise that those little naughty habits you're doing will build a bigger picture. And I can see a couple of my friends needing a little less time on their phone or a little less time drinking. It just helps you readjust to the things around you. And I think it's really useful to be in an environment where people think like you and feel like you. And this place definitely, it lives and breathes support and happiness. And that's all that matters. And it's in your own time and in your own space. It's not forced. It's free-flowing and it's flourishing. It gives you the opportunity to flourish. So I would recommend to as many people as I could